I am live. Welcome to the post show. I've been doing this post show for a couple of weeks and decided to, continue the post show. Why not? And talk about what goes on at Pitch Nonprofit and give some tips on how you can help perfect your nonprofit organization and your nonprofit pitch. I don't know how long I'm going to do this post show, but I thought that it is something that people can learn from and get an interesting insight on, especially people who come to the stage to pitch. So we want to make sure that people can learn from that and give them the encouragement to come to the stage to pitch. So tonight, Pitch Nonprofit, May 27th, 2021. It, per usual, Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, is the number one nonprofit show on Clubhouse. I'm so thrilled to host the number one nonprofit show on Clubhouse. I just think that's so cool and so amazing. And to be able to be in the position and in the space to make connections happen. Like I always say, people think it's always about knowing how to write a grant, knowing how to do these things, no, it's not. It's really about who you know, and most importantly, who knows you. Got to think about that. Who knows you? People always stop that line at who you know. I always say, yeah, who you know is cool, but who knows you is what's going to take you to the next level. And that is what Pitch Your Nonprofit brings to the table. That is what Pitch Your Nonprofit focuses on. It gives a nonprofit organization, especially small grassroots organizations, an opportunity to lock in that visibility that they definitely need in order to secure funding. And as I always say on Pitch Your Nonprofit, it is only one thing that stands between you and hard, cold cash. People knowing about you. It's just you and visibility. There's money. If you can see me, there's money. There's you. The difference, visibility. Do you have that visibility? Do people know about you? Let's jump right into the organizations that pitched today, that pitched tonight. We've got Thomas Kneeland. He is with the Kneeland Center, and they focus on helping young children perfect their writing skills and writing craft. I love this particular organization. I love this organization because people always look at the advent of technology as this way to say we don't need proven writing skills because we can depend on tools such as edit software. I was gonna say, like, when my phone tries to autocorrect, sometimes it's not right. That's why I'm just like, okay, we can't really depend on that. You need to know what's going on and how to formulate your sentences. You need the pretense, the tense, the verbs, the adjectives. You need them to all to be a cohesive family, because written communication is where we are currently, and it is where we are going. It's where we're going, as you can see just from your experience in commerce, that you are looking at a reduced task force, a reduced staff force, right? A reduced staff where people are, it's turning into an automated lifestyle. When you're working with automation, you have to be able to communicate in written format. So when he said that's what his organization focuses on, I thought that was amazing. Fantastic, and definitely a skill that people need to learn. You can find him at Thomas Kneeland Official over on Instagram, and there is a link in the description. We capture all of that data. So make sure when you come to the show and you are at Clubhouse, your Instagram needs to be connected to your profile. I suggest that, number one. And if you can't connect it to your profile, I definitely suggest adding that information to your bio. And next up, we had Hollis Meminger. And one thing that I can say is my feedback for Hollis, the initials don't necessarily work on Clubhouse. So for example, if your name is Liberty Madison and you don't want to just put L. Madison, because the way Clubhouse is designed, it is designed for your first name to appear first. And typically, if you don't put that there, how can your first name appear first? So people can't really connect with you. That was a little distracting, and having to remember to call him Hollis instead of H. I thought that was interesting. And he is the founder of bridgebuildersarts.org. Thought it was an excellent organization. He has a program that helps students for an extended period of time. It is 8 years of engagement where he helps particular students move through different processes in the art and film community. Some of the feedback that we received from one of our sharks, Gerald Moore, one of the feedback that we received from him was he wanted to hear something more tangible that we can fund and not necessarily going over an 8-year time span. I think that was a pivotal observation as to how you want to come to the stage and prepare for the stage to read the room, as Shelton Banks would say, read the room and position your ask accordingly. So a better ask would have been, well, let's go back to the ask. We've had a number of people tonight asking for $1 million and asking for lofty numbers, 100,000, 35,000, which I love these goals. I love the excitement. And of course, it's going to take millions of dollars to operate a nonprofit organization. However, as Quiera so eloquently put, have some funding options. And I added to that by saying, have some funding options to activate people on your behalf. If you don't have people to activate on your behalf, they won't be the hero in your story. Next up, we had Yolanda Cooper at For My Voice Matters over on Instagram. She came with her organizations with focuses on domestic violence. And one thing from her pitch that we learned is, don't bury the lead. It's a term in the marketing community. Burying the lead is the meat of your story, what's going to resonate with people and pull on those heartstrings. And unfortunately, in this particular pitch, we had the founder kind of give a outline of everything she could kind of think of to tell us about the organization, and then the story at the end about herself. It didn't necessarily click with people and resonate with people. And I want to invite, because a lot of people have never pitched their organization. They don't know what a pitch framework is, what a pitch structure, how to pitch, and they just think they're telling information. That is not a pitch whatsoever. That is not a pitch. That is a LinkedIn profile. I really thought I was watching LinkedIn in 3D. I was like, oh my God, LinkedIn in 3D. I didn't know I needed this. Actually, I don't. So that's exactly how it went for me. Though we did invite her to come back, and we had Miss Mikhara Harvey, and she is Immaculate Me, founder of Immaculate Me, which I really, really like this organization. This organization focuses on what she termed as business etiquette and skills needed in the workplace. And for me, I didn't really look at it as business etiquette. I looked at it as work retention, because if you don't have a proper level of EQ and a way to matriculate within a particular culture, you are at risk of pretty much losing your job. And I feel like those social skills needs to be communicated in ways that people can learn them on demand, learn how to implement them, and just not in a way of, oh, you should know, or these are the things you should know, because it's a lot of things that people should know that they just don't know. It's a lot of things that I should know that I don't know, and it's from experience. So if you lack that particular experience, you need someone to teach you and to guide you and to help you through that. And I think in the workplace, a lot of people don't get that education. They get the training, they can upskill and uptrain. But when it comes to upskilling and uptraining your EQ, your commitment to your environment, your commitment to culture, and how you can matriculate and form this cohesive unit within the workplace, that's not necessarily addressed. And I think that her organization addresses that, which is phenomenal. That's the first time that I've heard that kind of organization on Pitch Your Nonprofit. And our final pitch was Miss Rolanda Collins of A Mother's Prayer. Her story, let me tell you, her story just shook me to my core. Oh my God. I just want to say, domestic violence is no joke. It is not funny. It's very serious. I think it's the most important topic of our time and of our society. The number one most important topic is domestic violence. And she explained her story in a way that her daughter was murdered by this guy that the daughter only knew this guy for, I think, a couple of months. And he had slapped her and she said, no, I'm getting out of this relationship. And she ended it, cut it off. He couldn't handle the rejection. That's where I feel that a lot of men, and I'm going to say men, because people, I don't know if you've heard the story, the saying before, but they always say if you upset a woman, she's going to key your car. Like if you upset a woman, she will key your car. But if you upset a man, he will kill you. So this is an example of that. She said no, and he came back. He couldn't handle the rejection or embarrassment or whatever you call it. I call it extremely emotional. And it's nothing wrong with being emotional because we're emotional people, but he couldn't handle that. And he came back and rocked this community. He murdered her daughter, her daughter's partner, and he murdered her two little grandchildren, her two little grandbabies. I cannot believe that. And I'm just really floored and blown away at the story. It really turned into a different kind of conversation where we really weren't focused on a pitch initially. We were focused on having all the elements of a powerful, powerful, powerful story. It just gives me chills that people take it so lightly. You never know what another person is capable of. And unfortunately, when dealing with a certain demographic, the lethality is on the table and it's terrifying. And the fact that this mom, Miss Elena Collins, can move forward to help bring awareness, visibility, so her daughter's voice is heard, and her grandchildren, her, not just her daughter, but her grandchildren's voice is carried throughout this conversation, I think is brave, to say the least, because most people, I'm not sure if they would activate a nonprofit. They would be in the process of grieving, but you would be surprised what you can overcome. I love the saying that says, behind every woman with a great story is what is that quote? I want to get it right. I posted this on my Instagram. If you look on my Instagram, I want to make sure that I get it right. Behind every strong woman is a story that gave them no choice. That's an example of a story that gives you no choice. Keeping her daughter's voice alive is what fuels her to this day. A mother's prayer. That story is just so touching. As far as the pitch goes, her ask was $35,000. She has a larger overall ask of $2 million to operate her organization. And the advice that we gave her is advice that is meant for the entire audience. Have different options. Know your room, know your target, know your listener. And it goes beyond being on a show. It lends to everyday conversation. When you're in conversation with your doctor, with a teacher, with a grocery store attendant, with a banker, have a story, have a pitch ready to go, have your elevator pitch, have your capital pitch, have your VC pitch, have all of these pitch prepared to go. You would never ask a person who is at the grocery store for $1 million, but you want to activate them on your behalf. Have some options. Why don't you join in this $5 Friday? Why don't you join me in making sure that other women don't suffer from the hands of an abuser? People can lend to that. They can lend to that cause and activation where they can give $100. They can contribute $100. They can contribute $1,000. They can contribute $10,000. But make sure you know your audience and who you are talking to. And I just want to focus also on, go over the pitch framework for everyone that is kind of like, oh, I didn't know how to pitch, or, oh, I really didn't think about that, or, oh, what do you do? It's the same framework. Who are you? What do you do? And what do you want? And the bonus that you want to add in there is why you. So you want to look at it like, why you? Who are you? Why you? What do you do? What do you want? And when you break down those key 4 elements, you get into, what's the transformation? How are you going to activate people to be on this journey with you and give them the opportunity to be the hero? One thing that I want to make clear, it's not always about you. It's not always about you. And I think that you have to focus on that. And a lot of founders can get lost on that. They get lost. They talk about, I'm doing this, I did this, this is what my organization, this for me. And you have to lean into the marketing world of the with them. What's in it for me? That's what the listener is always thinking. The listener's always looking at, what's in it for me? Why do I care about this? So you have to position your messaging accordingly, which is tricky. I will have to say it's tricky based on human nature because people just kind of want to talk about themselves. However, you have to put on your advertising hat. You don't say, I started this popcorn stand and I'm doing this popcorn and look at how I do this popcorn. No, you look at it for the person walking by who sees your sign, hot, fresh, tasty popcorn that melts in your mouth. And the reader's like, ooh, it's hot, it's tasty, it's fresh, and it's going to melt in my mouth. That's what you want to focus on. Focus on the listener. Focus on the with them. Focus on somebody constantly asking you, what's in it for me? And is something wrong with a what's in it for me? Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you have to keep that in mind when you're connecting with potential funders, potential donors, and when you're connecting with audiences in general. Perhaps someone isn't activated to move on your behalf initially, but they are listening to your story. They're listening to you and they can be activated at a later time. When you're telling your story, when you're pitching, when you're getting people involved in what you're doing, it's just not that one pitch, that one show, that one opportunity. It is that visibility. And like I always say, it's the difference. What's that difference between cash and you? Visibility, right? Visibility. And when you have that visibility, nurture it and take care of it. Because if you don't tell your story right, you don't have your attention right, you're not going to capitalize on that moment. And I want you to succeed and I want you to win. Make sure you go to pitchyournonprofit.com and apply to pitch. Apply to pitch at Pitch Your Nonprofit. We love giving feedback on your pitches. And we also want to invite you to join the community where you can practice your pitch. Join the community. And also, I want to thank you so much for tuning in and make sure you subscribe and definitely check out the show and follow on Instagram and follow Pitch Your Nonprofit on Instagram, where you can learn more about nonprofit organizations that resonate with you. And again, we are the #1 nonprofit show on Clubhouse. If you are a nonprofit founder, connect with us. Connect with us. I'm telling you, I had no idea how people are obsessed with organizations. Organizations run the world. Run the world. This is so exciting. And I'm just honored to be a part of Pitch Your Nonprofit. I'm thankful for the opportunity to host it. And I look forward to seeing you next week. I'm Liberty Madison. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.